Hi, thanks for joining. This is Handle Your Business with Bobby Dino. I have a buddy of mine that just moved away from me. His name is Jim Staggs. He's here with us today, and Jim's quite impressive in what he does. Jim, thanks for being here. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate that.
Oh man, no, this is cool, And then plus, when you know somebody personally, it's a little bit different when you're talking to them because some of these questions I already got the answers, but it's like I have to ask them anyway.
Yeah.
So people know. But for those that don't know, who is Jim Staggs?
Jim Staggs is, first and foremost, I'm a father. I'm a family man. I grew up San Diego. I've lived the past 20 years in the Bay Area. Did construction. I got married young. My wife, when we first got together, she was 19. I was 21. I'm almost 39 now. We've been together for quite a while. We got together really young. We had kids early. I basically went to work, construction, and she stayed home with the kids, played mom, and life's kind of evolved from there. We kind of developed off of each other, and I think we got better over time as far as career-wise, as far as becoming better parents. I think we just had a good life. We kind of were compatible with each other, and that kind of made us be able to enjoy life together a little bit more than it seems a lot of people aren't these days.
Yeah. No, it's good that you bring that up because it kind of shows where your value's at. I'm asking a question trying to lead into what it is I guess you do, but the way that I asked it by saying, who is Jim Staggs? You equated yourself with being a family man, with your tribe, with the ones that you have to take care of and love. And I know that you homeschool your daughter, as I do mine. Actually, for those that don't know, while Jim was here, his daughter was my daughter's babysitter. So I mean, there was that. But I like the fact, and I think it's pretty noble and honorable that you equate yourself with that, because you could have easily just let in with, I'm a guy who gambles and doesn't lose. But
yeah.
You know what I mean? You're like, the family, we've developed great over the years, and that's great, man. I'm happy that you do that. That shows that you're a good dude. But
I like to think that's a reason why I've kind of dedicated myself to the not losing aspect or a winner's mindset. Is because I have a family. Like I didn't want to ever let myself become a degenerate that's taking the rent money, going to the poker room and blowing it all. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Saying, oh, sorry, we're not going to eat this month, or we're not going to be able to pay our rent, or a lot of people do that shit, So that's kind of the last, year or so, actually, mostly since meeting you, is kind of, getting that message out there. Like, people say, don't gamble, don't drink, don't smoke, and all that. And the reality is people are going to do that. 30%, I think, plus of Americans set foot in a casino last year. And I think upwards of about 70 to 80 billion dollars was the casino's revenue last year. That's, across
that, yeah, that's crazy.
So that's a big number, and my thing isn't really, I'm going to show you how to win, and you can go on YouTube and you can say, oh, win at poker every time, win at craps every time, guaranteed. That's a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah.
The thing is thinking the right way as a winner would think versus how a loser would think. There's in poker
and
players,
I agree, man.
You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, there's poker players like Stu Younger. He's one of the greatest poker players ever lived. The kid, when he was like in his early 20s, he wins back-to-back poker tournaments. And then he comes back, 10 years later and won another World Series of poker. We're talking the big big poker tournament, the World Series, the end all be
Right.
all of poker tournaments. But the
Right.
guy was a degenerate in his life. He was the most talented, skilled player, but he'd go and blow that $1 million in a couple months on the track and booze. You know what I mean? So my thing is not just how to turn a profit, but how to keep that profit, how to not give it back to the casino. Because addicts always return to the scene of the crime, right? So the
Right.
casino, the scene of the crime, the addict's going to take that money and he's going to bring it right back, hoping he's going to get a bigger payday.
Yeah, and I don't know that I should drop names or that you should, but I mean I guess I can. So Jim, when we were at Cernovich's party, Mike Cernovich had a party in Las Vegas. It was had a VIP time with it to where they had their own table, and Jim was Mike's inside guy and telling Mike how to bet and whatnot, and they walked away with money. Like they walked away with more money than they came with. So he
Yeah,
definitely has this talent. To those that are watching, there's something to what he's saying, and it doesn't have to be just poker or whatnot. You can apply this same kind of uh, what would you call it, like a dedication or a regimen. It's more like it is a mindset for sure, but it's
sure.
self-control essentially.
Yeah,
Is what's happening.
I trace it all back to discipline. You
Yeah.
know, it's if I have 20 grand and maybe I want to go spend 10 grand on a luxurious trip to the Bahamas, but if I spend that 10 grand, I'm only going to have 10 grand left instead of 20 to be able to make more with. So it's kind of it's. I mean, to me, discipline is doing what you're supposed to do when your mind's telling you to do something else, when it's telling you to do what you want to do for pleasure. So it's I want to do this, but I'm going to stop myself from doing that because I know it's not good for me long term.
Right. And when you think about the
Um,
long term, that's that delay of self gratification too. And that's
yes,
something that I've talked about a lot, is that it's real easy to just instantly gratify yourself with stuff. But once
for
you
sure.
master how to like delay that gratification, and go, okay, well, it's not, like you just said, not good for the long term. We got to save for this and that for a little bit, then things start happening for you in a good way.
Definitely, because you're putting yourself out there, but you're not giving in to every single thing you want, going for the pleasure chase, like you're saying. And I really, it relates into casinos a lot because what's in the casino? There's scattered ass everywhere. The cute waitresses are bringing you drinks. I think I clocked it one time where they came and offered me a drink about every 8 minutes. I think I resisted getting a drink for about 2.5 hours straight. No, thank you. No, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, that's kind of what's become fun for me when I go to the casino, is not giving into those temptations. And
Right.
it goes all the way down to betting. You're betting, you're betting, you're betting. Maybe you're up and down. Maybe you've been playing for 4 hours straight, and your stack is even. Then the next 10 minutes you lose a couple hands, and people get frustrated. They say, "Screw it." They put a whole $150 bet down, hoping to double that up and just make that quick money. And that's just giving into their desires to, try to make a quick buck instead of
Right.
playing like they're supposed to and doing what they're supposed to do. They're doing what they want to do, which is the wrong way in that sense.
Right. And for those of you that aren't familiar with gambling or whatever, so you have poker, which Jim is good at. You also have craps. Now, I didn't know much about craps, other than I know there was a few numbers, right, that you wanted to hit, like the 7 or the
Yeah.
11 or whatever, and you threw it because the when I was in the joint, the brothers called it, they were shooting dice, you know what I mean? And they did that
Yeah.
shit up. They'd have commissary items that were like the same prices,
Yeah.
and they'd be putting them in like for soups or whatever,
Yeah.
shooting dice.
And
So,
street
I mean,
craps. And street craps is It's funny because it
Yeah, I
has
mean,
better odds than the casino.
yeah, yeah. So essentially, I knew that that was involved, but once I went to the table with you, because Jim and I were there together.
Yeah.
Once I was at the table with you and seeing how it worked, I realized I didn't know how that shit worked at all. Like, I mean, I was completely dumb to the game. Like, what's these numbers and this and what's pass and blah blah blah. So it's not like when Jim's talking right now and he's saying like, oh yeah, you just have to have self-control, or oh yeah, you just have to. It is that on a discipline level. However,
Sure.
there's a skill that this man has that like you just don't get when you walk up to the table. There was a lot
Yeah.
more to it than that I saw and recognized was like, wow, he really knows what this game is.
Yeah, I relate that to the fundamentals, right?
Mhm.
I look at it like if you're going to go play that game, know the rules of the game, know the fundamentals of that game. With
Mhm.
casino games, you want to know the odds. What's the best bet I'm going to get? Um, what's going to give me the maximum profit when I win? And what's going to be the payout? Because the casino has, there's odds and there's the true odds, right? So when you
Right.
do dice, you have two dice. There's six numbers on each dice, so you have 36 combinations. So when you're going for like a one roll bet, that's a 35-1 shot. Now the casino pays you 30-1 on that money, so you're giving off a big
Yeah.
percentage to the house on those long shot bets. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I'd like to stick to casino games. I like to stick to blackjack, craps, and baccarat. Those have the lowest house edge against you.
What about poker?
Well, poker is, I don't really consider that gambling because it's a skill game.
Okay.
Sure, there's gambling aspects to it, but if you play correctly, you play mathematically, and then you also, have an ability to read other players and use information during your time playing. You're gonna do fairly well. And the casino has the casino all the money they make off of that is the rate. So in every hand, they'll take a little bit out of the pot, or they'll have each player pay hourly to be able to play at the table. The
Gotcha.
casino really it's kind of like a restaurant in the casino. It
Yeah.
really doesn't benefit them. They have it there to draw in players so they go play their other games and lose money.
Right.
You know?
Gotcha.
That's actually a big
Gotcha.
thing with a lot of poker pros. They'll go win, a couple $100,000 in the tournament, and they'll go take it to the blackjack tables and lose it all out. And
Oh wow,
because
really?
it happens a lot. Like if you look at a
Whoa.
lot of the top poker professionals, like look them up, you'll see these guys owe debts. I mean, they owe millions of dollars here and there. They
Oh
borrow
Jesus
money to play
Christ.
tournaments, and that's why I bring everything down to discipline. You could be the greatest in the world, but are you bringing home a profit? You could be a great player, you could dominate all night, you can bluff, win pots, but if you go home negative $100 and I go home with $50, who's the real winner? Who's the better player?
Right.
Right?
Right.
Poker to me is it's all about profit. I go to play money, not to feel like I'm a winner or like I dominated somebody or whatever. I want to dominate somebody so I can win that money, not just to feel like a dominating person. You know what I mean? So
Right. Right. That's it's a trip when you're talking about how it all works, like, oh, the casino does this because of that, or the casino does this because of that. Uh,
yeah,
and what a lot of people don't realize is there's a psychology to it all. You know what I'm
for
saying?
sure.
Like,
Yeah,
there's I mean, even those games, those video games that they have in there, I call them video games. They're actually slot machines essentially, but even my terminology when
yeah,
I say it, I'm like, oh, the video
yeah,
games, right? So that people
yeah.
go and do that stuff,
They
and
ding
those
and
have,
flash, and it's exciting, and the wheels spin and the
yeah.
bells chime, and oh yeah,
Yeah.
It puts a
You
little
know
thing in
what's
your brain
funny?
like, oh, look, I won something. You might have won like $2, but it flashes like you won $50 million. You know what I
Right, right, right,
mean?
right. Yeah, you know, it's funny because I know that those things, it's just like the odds on them are so gnarly bad, you know, that it's
They're
just
terrible. Yeah.
whatever. Um, but like we'll go to the restaurant there, and Z will be like, uh, I'm gonna go play 20 on this on the machines before we go out. And in my mind, I'm just
Yeah.
thinking, well, that's gone. You know, like okay,
Yeah.
yeah, you
Yeah.
just might as well go give it to a fucking homeless person. You know what I mean? Because
Consider
that's
it
like,
gone.
yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
when we've gone, it's funny because okay, I'm gonna tell you all a story for you guys out there watching. So this is how good this dude is with gambling. All right, so we're sitting at this bar, and the bar has like video games on it. And Jim notices, he's like, "Hey, there's still $1 credit left on this game, right?" And I was like, "Oh shit, yeah, there is." And he's like, "Here, let's play blackjack. I'll show you how to run it up." And Jim ran that dollar up to $32, cashed it out. He's like, "All right, paid for drinks." And I'm just like, "Son of a bitch."
Yeah.
So I mean, this guy, he makes it sound easy, okay? I mean,
And
but he
the
has
key of
some.
that whole thing is I stopped playing, right? I
Right,
said, hey, we
he
got
did.
30
He was,
bucks. We're
and
done now. You know what I
that's
mean?
exactly right. He did. He was like, okay, they just ran it up so that you know now it's run up, so you take the bait. He's like, nope, we're done, and cashed it
Yeah.
out. I remember, man.
We lost like 2 hands. Once we lose a couple
Yeah,
hands, it's time to stop. The machine's gonna screw us now, you know? Yeah.
right. Yeah. So it was like there's a skill to it. I mean, even with the games that were there, he was just like, "Woo," and we after a few hands ran it up like that. That was a trip.
Yeah.
Um, as a matter of fact, didn't you when we were in Vegas? Okay, so we went to Vegas and stayed at the Rio. We're
Yeah.
probably never going to stay at the Rio again, but we.
Yeah. A little dead.
No offense, no offense to the Rio, you know, but yeah, clean it up. No, but we stayed there, and we had a non-smoking room, so we had to come down the elevator
Yeah.
and and smoke right there in the lobby, and right there was machines, right? And I remember we went down there one day and you stuck a five in there and won money off of it real quick, didn't you? I don't know how much you won,
Yeah.
but it was just like
Yeah. I
boop
think I
and
won like
stuck money in.
20 or 50 bucks or something. Yeah, I forget what it was
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
And I'm just like, Jesus Christ, this guy constantly wins. You know, it's cool to watch because for
Yeah.
me it's been a cool thing because we became friends, and then I started telling people, I'm like, oh, you got to get with Jim, man. Like this dude, you know, he
Yeah.
gets it. He wins. He
Remember,
wins. You know.
I think our second time meeting, like we walked out and there's a baccarat table sitting there from the bar we're hanging out in the casino. I'm like, here, let's throw some
That's
money
right.
on this, you know. And I think I had like an extra chip that I had at my house for a long time or something. I forgot
Yep.
what it was. Then we
No,
did that, and
that's right.
we both threw in together. I'm like, hey, we got drinks for the next couple of weeks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Want like
No,
$100
and it's a
or
trip
something,
too.
right?
It's a trip too, like with the Asians on the table, right? Because Jim goes in there and bets against them, and these so
Yeah.
the Asians like especially like tourist Asians, they're very
Yeah.
like luck
The
oriented.
culture is luck
Okay,
oriented culture. Yes.
right. So they're all betting one way, you know, to be lucky, and Jim comes in and bets the like bets
I
against
bet
them
on the
on the
house.
table. Yeah,
Yeah.
and they're just like, you know, like looking at him like, oh, piece of shit, you know. But
Yeah.
it was cool because you won, man. That was yeah. So for the people that are watching, I know Jim, you offer some kind of service to where like you'll go to Vegas with someone or you'll advise someone or
For
whatnot, right?
sure. You know, I look at it like, you know, the casinos have these people called casino hosts, right? Where they call players and they say, hey, come on out, we'll give you a free room. And it's usually some cute girl, and they, you know, get them what they need. They get them food, they get them drinks. Um, I like to think of myself as kind of the opposite of that, where, you know, we're going to be focusing on how to win, not how to be comfortable all weekend. Like, if you really want to
Yeah.
go and seriously go win money, and actually try to beat the casino, let's get it the right mindset to do that. And they're not just
That's
giving all that
smart,
stuff
man.
away for free, right? I mean,
Right. No, that's smart. Like instead of making it all party, it's like, no, you're here to win. You want to make some money? I'll
yeah,
show you how. Let's go make some money.
yeah. And
Because, money's
if you
serious.
want to seriously gamble, maybe the first part of the day, and then go have fun later, let's do that. But then we don't go back to the table after that and gamble more, and we're all fucked up, or
Right. Right. Well,
And
that's
so
because
I
you're
think
showing
that's
people
kind
your
of their
service
thing.
isn't
Like,
just
hey, we'll
taking
get them
people.
here, we'll get them dinner, we'll make them feel comfortable, get their
Yeah.
guard down, right? Let's get their guard down so they fish that money
Right.
out of their pocket. They're feeling good because you want to give people money that you like. You don't want to give it to people you don't like. That's just human nature, right?
Right. Yeah. No, and it's smart. Like it's smart. Like I hadn't thought about it that way, about how you're saying, but you're
Yeah,
absolutely right. It's not a thing to where it's like, oh, hey, let's go party in Vegas, or whatever, and you can hire me and we'll go party and have a good. It's more like, hey, if you want to hire
yeah,
me, we'll go to the table and I'll show you how to win. And
sure.
that's
And I can
that's
do the
cool.
party thing too. Like if people want to go and know which strip clubs to go to and the fun casinos and all that. I mean, that could be set up as well. I mean, that's easy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
But my thing is like
That's just
seriously gambling. You know what I mean? Like
right. Yeah.
you want to go and you want to seriously try to win money. You want to know the odds on the game, or if you just want somebody to be an angel on your shoulder. Like there's a lot of guys know the odds and they go play, but they do the opposite of what they're supposed to do. So
Yeah.
maybe somebody, an extra voice inside your head saying, hey, it's time to stop playing right now.
Yeah.
Being an idiot. Let's not do
Yeah.
that. That's a stupid ass move. That could be another thing that people need in their life. What I mean? So,
Yeah, for sure. And when you've when you've gone and played with people, because you have, and you've showed
yeah,
people how, like we talked about earlier, Mike Bolin, Mike Cernovich, doing their party and other stuff that you've done. What is a common mistake that you see people do that just is something they should correct?
at the, I would say not knowing the odds of the game, like fully,
Mm-hmm.
and sticking with certain bets. Like a lot of people go and they bet, not necessarily at like the Mike Bolin Cernovich event. Like, I was pretty impressed with that crowd that was there. Like, I could tell these people aren't like the people who are going to go and just dump tons of money and make stupid decisions the whole time. Like everybody had a good like
Right.
winning mindset. It kind of goes with the crowd, that was there, and it makes
Yeah.
sense of the people that were hosting the event are going to have people that have more of a winning mindset. But I
Sure.
would say if you're going to go play a game, you should know the odds of the game, or at least what you're going to be betting on. Kind of know the fundamentals. You know, um, it's actually an article I'm writing up right now is specifically fundamentals. I'm kind of going to
Okay.
go into, it's the basics, right? It's the principles behind what you're doing. So whatever you're doing, you should know the fundamentals of that. We usually attribute that to sports, but in my case, I'm going to attribute, kind of correlate it with gambling and why it's important to know the fundamentals. And I mean, honestly, I believe that's why people lose so much money is because they don't understand the small fraction of the percentages the casinos are taking away from them. Like if anybody who spent some time on the slot machine, you're going to go up, down, and then you're going to go down, 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 down. That's usually how the
Right.
pattern works.
Right.
So I think understanding the fundamentals, the principles, the odds is going to help people make better decisions, make better habits. Um, and I think people, I mean, there's a lot of different things that people do wrong. But I think like not kind of tapping into when they're winning and when they're losing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we've all experienced this. If you've lived any amount of life, we've experienced this phenomenon where momentum's going, we're rocking and rolling, everything's going good. And then maybe next week or the next day or the next hour, things kind of get down, something bad happens, something else bad happens, and it's, you know, there's upswings and downswings, right? And
Peaks and valleys,
I think
yeah.
being able to, you know, be able to tap into that when you're winning and when you're losing is the key. Because like my first time playing craps, I'll give an example is, you know, I rolled the dice for like 45 minutes straight, which is a long time to roll dice in craps, you know. And what I didn't do, I didn't tap into, hey, I'm on an upswing. It's time to increase my bets. I'm using the house as money. Why would I care about, you know, losing that, right? So up your bet, you know, make your bet double what you made it, or, you know, put an extra $10 on it, whatever. Just increase as you're winning. And the difference was, you know, I was about $9,500 less than what I should have had if I would have bet correctly. You know what I mean? You know, like $1,500 instead of 10 grand. You know, whereas other guys from the table gave me a hug and thanked me, and then I realized that, you know, they had just won like 10 grand on the table, and like, okay, lesson learned, right? So,
well, you know what? That was my lesson learned in Vegas as well. So you actually weren't there. I think you weren't there with me, or you?
Yeah, you told me when I got back. Yeah. You told me about it.
Yeah, so I got the dice, right, and I was rolling for probably a good 20 or 30 minutes, man. Like I just kept rolling. I was like, yeah, right. And then I noticed everybody around me had made money and I didn't make shit. And I was like, how did that work? You know, and it was because I wasn't making those different bets and I wasn't, you know, doing whichever. So I mean, if you don't know the rules of the game, you know, it's not a good situation. And that's for life too. That's for anything. So if you're going to go into like a specific field or go into like some type of work, for you that are watching, you got to know the rules of the game. If somebody's going to try and be the winner, they want to get past you. And so if you don't know what the rules are or know or know even how to play, you don't stand a chance against the people that do. And that's something that you can apply to life. And just remember that whatever you're getting into, you know what it is. I mean, that's life, a lot of life lessons in pool, in gambling, or in, you know, any of that stuff in general.
Definitely. And that's why I love, I mean, poker is my favorite game. If I was going to play something, you know, every day forever, that would be the game I would choose, because it's you're against other people. Nobody has an advantage. I mean, in a way, like a superior player who's been playing for 10 plus years definitely has an advantage over somebody who's brand new to the game. But you know, when you all sit down, you're all basically equal. So you bring your own skill, you make of it what you will. Nobody's there to help you. You know, so it's kind of a self-made thing, number one. And then, you know, whatever mistakes you make, you're going to pay for them. Whatever you do correctly, you're going to capitalize off of that, you know, and I love that aspect of it. And then there's so many variables and different situations you get yourself into, and different emotions you have to kind of control, and just the level of focus you need to be able to sit there for a long period of time and come out, you know, on top. You know, it's quite a bit. So I think, like, you know, young guys that are, you know, 18, 19, 20, and can get some friends together and everybody throw $5 or $10 in, or whatever they can afford, you know, and play some poker with each other, I think is beneficial to a lot of people. You know, will be beneficial and teach them some lessons in life, you know.
Yeah, and just don't go into it blind. Know what you're doing a little bit. And there's even people like you, you specifically, that can help. If somebody wanted to get a hold of you and say like, hey man, I want to have Jim come to Vegas, or I want to have Jim meet me at this casino or whatnot, how do they do that?
Right now, I don't have any offers up on my website. I mean, it's kind of hard to make an offer per se, with like a price on it. That'd be something that they would have to contact me and tell me specifically what they wanted to accomplish, because there's so many different ways to go about it, you know. Do you want to go have fun and make sure you don't lose a ton of money? We could do that. Do you want to take some money and go try to make more of it? We could do that. You know, there's a lot of different choices. So right now, I guess a DM on Twitter would be the best way to get a hold of me, or to send me an email. It's J_Staggs at att.net.
Okay, we'll put that up. Is there a link on your website too, like something where they can?
Yeah, they can. There's a contact on there that they can.
Yeah.
Hit the button and get at me on my website, and that's jimstaggs.com.
Yeah, and for those of you that are watching, this will all be down in the information section, so you don't need to hurry up and write or grab a pen and a piece of paper. It'll be there. No, that's awesome, man. We got to close up here pretty soon. I understand, but before we go, where did you come from that now this is kind of like what you want to do? Like, how does your past correlate into what your mission is and what you're doing now?
Oh man, I mean, so many. Talking like past, like growing up past, or kind of involved in the gambling world. I mean,
well, sure. I mean, it could be just like the kid. Okay, growing up, perfect. So the guy, or whatever, who became Jim Staggs, the guy that's doing this mission now.
You know, I've loved playing games ever since I was young. I think I was playing gin rummy with my mom and her sisters when I was like 9 years old. We were playing for quarters, and I would kick their ass then a lot of the time. But I've loved games. I played poker, you know, at around that same age is when I started playing poker with one of my friend's moms, and she would show us all the different games and variations of it. And it's just been something that's kind of, I don't know if it was the people around me that kind of piqued my interest in it, or I kind of found it myself, whatever the phenomenon is, that it's always kind of been a part of my life, playing games, playing poker. We would play blackjack against each other, and one would be the banker, one would be the player.
Yeah.
And you know, in my early 20s, I would play poker quite a bit. I had a big dilemma at that time, like maybe 23, 24, is I wanted to be a poker pro. And I seriously thought about becoming a poker professional. But at that time, I had young children, so it just didn't. I wanted to be a good father. I wanted to coach soccer practice and do all that. So it's to be a professional poker player, I think, like to seriously make a living at it and do nothing else besides play poker and have that be your job, you have to be willing to just go and play at the drop of a hat, because poker is not just, I'm going to go to the card room tonight and play poker. To be a serious like pro, you want to go where the best games are, where the easiest money is to make. That means that could be a friend's house. That could be maybe a millionaire is having a poker game at his house, and he has it once a month. You want to go to that game, and maybe that game goes for 2 or 3 days, and you don't want to leave because you're leaving money there, and you're running good, and you might not run good again till next month. You never know. That's the key with poker and gambling. Is you want to get, there's a saying is you want to get the most of it when you have the best of it. And if I'm playing and I'm doing nothing but winning, and these guys want to keep playing and keep working their money out there, then I'm going to get the most of it while I can before I have a downswing, before I start losing. Because in poker especially, there's variation, there's variance, right? It's you can run good for a month, and then you can run bad for a day, and then you can run good for 2 days, and there's no set way it's going to work out. So, I spent a lot of time in the poker room. Suffice to say, in my early 20s, I used to wait till my kids were in bed about 9 o'clock. I'd go out and I'd play poker probably 2 to 3 times a week. So I want to be the good family man, right? I don't want to. He's always gone. So hey, kids are in bed. Now I can go out and I could, stay out till 3 or 4 in the morning. And when you're in your early 20s, that's easy. I can't do that anymore. I'd be too tired now, but I could come home, sleep a couple hours, go to work, and be just fine.
Yeah.
When you're in your 20s, right? It's pretty simple to be like that.
Yeah.
And so in that time, I've seen people make tons. I've made mistakes myself. Never that was a detriment to myself, but I've made mistakes where I shouldn't have. Spent more, fish money out of my pocket when it was time to go home. And I've seen people just run super bad and just keep throwing tons of money on top, and they'll be back the next day doing the same thing. And you see them in the casinos doing the same thing. So it's kind of where it's like I don't tell people, hey, there's no guarantee you're going to win. Anybody who says there is a guarantee you're going to win is full of shit, especially on a game like blackjack, craps, any casino game. There's no system. Anybody who says they have a system to beat the house is full of baloney, number one. So I want to teach people how to think differently so they profit or they don't lose their ass, or a few things. And all the mistakes I've seen people make and some of the mistakes I've made myself has kind of led me to want to pursue that in life. And I look at it differently than don't gamble, don't do this, don't do that. That's not reality. The reality is people are going to go gamble. I want to guide people a little bit better than I think they've been guided in the past.
Well, cool, man. Okay, so for all you that are watching, like I said earlier, all of Jim's info is going to be up in the information area rather, and so you'll be able to read his articles, find his websites, follow him on social media, but all cool stuff to know. And there's somebody to where if you're one of those people that ever are planning on going and doing a Vegas trip or whatever, here's your man. Hey, Jim, thank you for joining us, man. It's you're a friend on top of a guest, so it's cool to have you on.
Well, I appreciate you having me.
Right on, man. And to all you guys that are watching, remember, stay safe out there.